Fred and Keith back for Get the Most Out of Your Workout. We're going to stay with the hips. Hips are very critical for success in the CrossFit world so you don't get back injuries. So hip mobility. Here's a drill, again using our mobility band to get the most out of that front hip capsule. Last week we talked about the back hip capsule. Here's a way to get the stretch to the front of the hip capsule. We got the band, so it's pulling that femur forward into the hip socket. And that forward pull is going to stretch the front of that hip socket. So Keith is just going to drive the pelvis in. He's going to do a little bit of a knee driver back and forth. And as he does that knee driver back and forth, because this band is constantly pulling, he's getting a good stretch in that front of the hip capsule. Your hip flexor is known as your psoas. It attaches right into the front of that. It gets really tight just in our culture with how much we sit. It also gets really tight every time you go down into a squat and you close those hips. So we want to open up those hips. This is a great way to do that. When we do this from the front, you're going to feel a little better stretch through the ball side of the joint, the femur. But as we flip around, which Keith is now going to demonstrate, we change the stretch just slightly to where the focus now is not so much on the ball, but it's more on the pelvic translation. So he's still going to glide forward, but now that band is holding the ball back. So it allows that hip to get a little better glide forward. Still a really good stretch, but it has a different emphasis. We add in some arm motion, and we're going to get the most out of this by adding the upper body. So Keith is going to do an over-shoulder reach to the opposite shoulder so that the fascial lines from that shoulder to this hip get opened up. Fascia is that connective tissue that covers every muscle. It's kind of like the cellophane in those gift wrappings that you get. And that cellophane can get all bound down. So Keith's going to show us a couple more of these. Fascia is not muscle dependent. Fascia integrates between several muscles. So as he's stretching the front of his right hip, taking this into a diagonal reach over his left shoulder, he's going to feel that more of a diagonal stretch. That's getting muscles, that's getting joints, that's getting fascia. That's getting the most out of your workout. Try that this week down at the box.